Can you hear me? There it is. All right. What's up, y'all? What's up? GYBB, get your balls back. WWDD, what would Dante do? Sexual Revolutions being podcast, and I apologize for the lateness. You know I'm usually on time. Um, this is Evil Dominic. Is filling in for Tri-State Mike. What up, Dominic? What's going on? He's working the buttons.
Just ready for the show.
All right, ready for the show. He's so enthusiastic. It's crazy. It's out of your. It's off the hook. Shout out to Dr. Maya in the building. I know she listened today. You know how to put the numbers up, Dom? Put that number up. Here's a crazy thing. I was thinking about today. I was talking about. Don't forget the Cash App is up. The Cash App is up. Send me some money. Numbers 347-464-2827. Phone lines are open. We're gonna see how that works. Things been a little shaky. But Evil Dominic is in the back and he's trying to work it out. Usually, you know, Tri-State Mike, you already know, is in the building. He's not right now. Shit has been crazy in the last few days. Something I wanted to talk about is I really realized that we often talk about the need to you know, I often get questions about how to build confidence. One of the things that I realized is you build confidence based on what you do, not who you are. It's an interesting concept. It's like it's what your daily everyday is and how that operates. I feel like my chair's low. God damn. Everything feels crazy today. But I feel like confidence is what you do. So, for instance, if you think like a boxer that has a title bout, his confidence comes from his ability that he trained, that he had a great camp, that he ate right, that he abstained from sex, that he worked on all the things, that he watched the videotape, and then because he's so prepared, you find that he is how should I put it? He's in a position where he has a level of confidence because the bottom line, he knows deep down that he's done exactly what he wants to do. And what you find so many guys who kind of put this kind of relationship content on, they're frauds. And whether or not they're great liars or not, authenticity, Cash App. Hold on, shout out to Xavier. You always on time. Xavier Karina in the building. Thank you for the $5. Cash App coming through. Send me some money. Telephone numbers up 347-464-2827. What I find more over than not, it's based on what you do on a day-to-day basis, how you prepare for life, when your representation of who you are is intentional. Everything that you do is intentional. Nothing is where, you know, I used to use this analogy where you sit in a canoe with no oars and you just float on the river. That's not, you can't live like that as a man and then be respected as a man. The things that you do, the things that you say have to be intentful. They have to have an objective. And if you don't have an objective, right, then you're just on a boat, just floating down the river, waiting to hit a waterfall. But when you are intentful, even when you're in a situation where you get off track, where you're not being your true self or you're not doing the right things or whatever the case may be, you can adjust that because you know what your objective is. I've said this analogy 100 times. If you order an Uber, there's two things that you need. You need your current location and you need your destination. If you don't have your current location, if you don't know where you are, where you come from, the Uber can't pick you up. If you're in a situation where you don't know where your destination is, then even if you get in the Uber and it is able to pick you up, you're just gonna float around on the map for the rest of your life, and that's not what you want to do. And you got to understand that is unattractive. Women will never find a guy attractive without some kind of direction. I got to shout out to Dr. Maya because I was talking to her today, and I was saying that women don't know what they want, their pussy does. And she's an intellectual sister, so she kind of was like, "Well, I don't care what you look like," which is absolutely true. That's not the point. My point when I say that is that attraction is a genetically determined thing. It's biological. The way that a woman finds you attractive is based on a visceral feeling. Um, it's a visceral feeling that they have, and that visceral feeling is something that they that they receive from you. When you are a confident individual, the way you walk, the way you talk, the cadence of your voice, how you stand, how you address somebody, all of those things, they they resemble your inner peace, your inner focus, your inner determination of what you are based on what you do. You find plenty of guys, and people, guys will always think it's the money, it's the cars. I've seen guys with all of that, and the minute they get pushed back on somebody who they have, the guy who has decided that the girl is out of their league, it is evident that they feel that. They can't hide it. It's literally a poker tell. This is why you got Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef, because with all the money, all the cars, the private jets, all of these guys are fighting over the same 12 girls. They're all insecure about it because once the awe of these material things that these girls have I want this, once that wears off, they're still going to look for your substance. Phone number's up, 347-464-2827. I want to get the calls popping because I want to help somebody. Let's help some people. Don't forget to call in 347-464-2827. I know my regulars is in the building. Call in, say what's up. Let's get it rocking. I had a situation where I did a consultation this week, and the particular guy I was talking to is like I have a plan that everybody knows. We talk about laying the 5 bricks. If you don't know what laying the 5 bricks is, it's when somebody has shout out big cash app $20 from Lloyd Hinton. Thank you so much, Lloyd. Do we have an air horn? Dominic, do you have an air horn? Can we get the air horn?
I didn't set the soundboard up yet. I can grab it for you if you'd like.
Nah, don't do it. Forget it. We are doing low budget, no intro music, no outro music. I'm going to fuck Mike up when he comes. He going to know because he's supposed to set all this up. But shout out to Lloyd, where was the cash app right here? Lloyd Hinton, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate the $20. But I've been working with this particular young dude, and one of the process we put through is if you have to understand something, the social dynamics of relationships and all this stuff. There's 2 things that men are supposed to be good at. One is relationships, 2 is sex. Now, the problem with that is nobody would ask you to shout out to Cash App. Y'all sending the money at Cash App with Nate Johnson in the building. Thank you for the $10. Thank you. I got to do my own vocal air horn. This sucks, Dominic. I'm going to tell you, right? I'm going to pull your beard off after this is done. Shout out to Nate Johnson. Thanks for the money. Send me some more money. The thing about one of the things is that you're supposed to be, it's expected, men expect to be good at sex and be good at relationships. And if you don't have a personal model, if you haven't grown up with parents with healthy relationships, and even if you did, if you didn't have a masculine figure or to say, this is what a relationship should be, how do you know? How could you possibly know? And then we carry this shame. Men carry this shame because they're just not equipped to deal with the situations at hand. if you've never played ping pong, nobody expects you to be good at ping pong. You need to practice. You need somebody to show you. I often use when you look at these girls that ice dancing, like in the Olympics, they're ice skating, figure skating. When you see these girls and they're 14, 15 years old, they have been on the ice, a lot of them since they were 4 years old. When everybody else is sleeping, those little girls are on the ice. Their families pay for personal coaches, they personal trainers, and they're on the ice. When you're sleeping in your bed all cozy and cuddled up under the covers, they are on the ice practicing. So when you see these young ladies and they're 14, 15, 16 years old, by the time they've been practicing ice skating in some cases for 10 to 15 years. So of course they're good at it. Of course they can do the triple lux. Here's what the understanding is: because there's an expectation for men to be a certain way. First of all, men are the worst. I mean, my business model is trash because the bottom line is men never ask for help. Because we feel as though it emasculates you to ask for help. So we don't ask for help. The only time I get any of the consultations that I do, DanteNero.com, click on consult. Any of those consultations, usually a guy will call me when the world when it's a post-apocalyptic situation in their love life. It's trash. We got a call? Let's go.
Yep, we got a caller. I'm bringing him in right now.
What's your name? Where you calling from, family? Hello, what's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm from Rhode Island. It's Dell.
What's going on from Rhode Island? What's your name? Dell?
Daryl.
Daryl. What's going on, Daryl? How can I help you, brother?
I got a quick question regarding women. Like, do all the principles? I remember I was listening to a Black Phillip episode a while ago, and Patrice mentioned how you have to have an HR department. You need to have people in the bank, right? When you're dating, when you're doing the 5 bricks.
Right.
Right? How about this? Then women, they probably do the same thing, right? So when you start dating, they're probably dating a bunch of guys. But then, like, where do you draw the line with kind of keeping in that, like a woman talking to dudes and being like, all right, that's getting kind of weird. Are they hanging on to them? Or are they genuine friends?
Are you saying that? Okay, so first of all, let me tell you something. Here's a distinct difference.
Yeah.
Men are pursuing women, right? We're always pursuing women. So they always gotta, in case of emergency, break glass, right? They always gotta, in case of emergency, break glass, dude. They're always around. There's guys around who are pursuing them. Real quick, Nate Johnson just sent me $10. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Nate. But because we pursue women, right? So there's a certain level of confidence that they have because they always have options. So when you hear a woman say there's no good men, what she means is there's no good men that I want. When a man says there's no, like if a woman says I don't have nobody, what she means is she's got a refrigerator full of food and just that there's nothing in that refrigerator that she wants to eat. When a man says I don't have nobody, what he means when you look at his refrigerator, there's a bottle of water, some pink medicine, and roach eggs. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing in there, and a box of baking soda. You feel me? So there's a distinct difference because of the nature of the social dynamics in our society, so that women always have a backup. But
they always have a backup.
Right. But what I'm saying, if you're
so
asking,
they have an HR department just like men do.
Right. But men.
So you're saying that basically just to act like women, in a way where you have backup.
Here's the problem, Darryl. How do you have backups? How do you have backups?
What? Keeping good relationships, being a dope dude, being honest.
Absolutely,
being real,
but
being
that's
friends.
but
what they do Yeah.
But you got to understand something. That is not, every dude can't pull that off. There's a lot of dudes who are listening right now that don't have the ability to do that. They don't understand the dynamic. And so you got to understand it is a skill set that you have to learn, right? And so it's funny because I was just talking about, if you want to play Olympic grade ping pong, you got to have a coach, you got to practice, and you got to build this, and then you have this roster. But when you really get to the point where you know that when you know what your value, it's understanding what your value is. Once you know what your value is, your value permeates everything you do. It's the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you stand, how you project your voice, the way you, all of those things are the case because you know what your value is, right? So, yes, you got it is on a base level initially, you want to have you just like women. That's where women's roster. That's where their confidence comes from. Is because they know they guys always know that they always know guys. They can always, if they want to give some ass away, they can give some ass away. That can happen.
Like right when you get a breakup, they're going right back out.
And
to
maybe
build that confidence.
I wouldn't say that, but I would say this. You know that they can, right? The difference is a guy doesn't have that option, or at least initially he doesn't have that option.
And they can feel, the woman can feel that energy when, if a dude's not confident, stressing out, anxious, it's like they know that.
So let me ask you that. Why do you think that is? What do you think about a woman makes her know that you're not confident?
I think it's because you're overthinking, you're anxious, and usually you can just.
Well, it's not so much. Let me explain it. Let me explain. This goes to. I was talking about this earlier today. Women have a uncanny sense, intuitive sense of whether or not. Well, first of all, you got to understand it. Like every time, and I've said this 100 times. Every time a woman gives a guy a number, wants to go out with him, she has to qualify this dude to make sure that he won't unlive her or grape her, right? That is a consideration that's on the table every single time. If you ask any woman, they will tell you that, because of the fact that that's something that they have to worry about. There's never a situation where a man is going out on a date and wondering whether he might be taken advantage of. You understand the fact? Most of the time, he's hoping that somebody takes advantage of him, right? Like that's his that's his wish when he blows out the candles. So what I'm saying is that when we talk about the three principles: authenticity, credibility, and empathy, that's something that we didn't talk about at Black Phillip, and it's something that Patrice wasn't. This is a whole different idea that we've escalated it to now. Empathy
is just honesty.
Authenticity is honesty. Credibility is that you keep your word and do what you say and say what you do. And empathy is understanding that other people have gone through things that you might not understand, and giving them that grace to understand, some time and energy to understand it. So what I'm saying, if you look at it from a woman's perspective, this is a concern of hers. There is a physical danger for her to be unalived or graped every time she gives her. Now when knowing that, right? Just what I said, knowing that, how doesn't that has to alter the way that you approach women? You know what I'm saying? Because if you are perceived as creepy, or even if you're perceived as, here's something crazy. Even when you're perceived as indecisive, women read indecisiveness as shaky or unsure. Unsure reads as dangerous. Dangerous reads as creepy, and then she's out. So what you have to understand is, and that happens instantly. And you know why it happens instantly? Because women have to be aware of this for their own personal safety. You know?
What is indecisiveness? Like, where do you think that girls down to, and why are people
Well, if
indecisive?
I'm interested in you, I'm gonna be very direct and straightforward and say I'm attracted. I'd love to take you out.
Yeah,
But
that's what I mean.
if you're like, hey, give you an example. If you're going, hey, I was just wondering if you kind of, maybe if you're not doing nothing, sometimes maybe on a slow day, maybe if you're not doing it, maybe I could take you for a cup of coffee if it's not too much trouble. You know what? Maybe you don't want to. I mean, if you don't want it, it's okay. If
Right.
that's what your response
Yeah, you're
is,
at a red light with someone, and there's a gorgeous girl next to you, and you want to say something, but you don't. And then as it goes green and she blasts away, you yell out the window, and it's just like, you lost your opportunity, man.
if you
You
haven't
know.
responded to her, it doesn't even matter. But I'm saying when when you're actually communicating with her, your indecisiveness often is read as creepy or dangerous, because why is he so unsure? If you are clear about what your intentions are, then why can't you say now? Understand? I'm going to say one thing I think is really important. This is something that I learned when I was about 13 years old, and it wasn't even relevant. Well, it kind of was relevant to women, but not really. Fear exists between the time that an opportunity is presented, right, and how long you take to access that opportunity. So the minute the time is an opportunity is presented to you, right? Every second that you take to access that opportunity, the fear builds. It's almost like a stopwatch, or like a Geiger counter, and the radiation keeps going higher and higher and higher until you are paralyzed by the fear of not taking action to the point where you cannot take action.
You should not be afraid to let
But
people know who you are.
yeah, but
And
that's
that's
something.
what
But
it is.
yeah, but you
How you
can't.
feel.
But saying that is easy said. The question is, how do you get to that?
So rejection hurts. I would agree.
Well, not just the rejection, but you have to have a clear, concise process to get over it. Are you a boxing fan, Daryl?
I used to box, man. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So when you box and you get in the ring and you spar, you're learning how to technique, you're learning how to operate, but what the most important thing that you're learning is that you can get punched in the face and still maintain composure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the principles that I talk about all the time is never let emotion have a seat at the table, right? Because the minute you allow emotion to have a seat, what I mean, that whole fight or flight energy that you have, you have to learn to manage that, because anytime you let emotion have a seat at the table, whatever your proficiency in terms of how charming you are, how intelligent you are, you can cut that down to a third. Mentally, you can cut that down to a third, because you are so focused on the fight or flight aspect, which is instinctual, right? That dread, that you can't operate in the context of where you're
Comes in the form of thought and overthinking.
Well, I mean, it's
oh my
fear.
God, what's gonna happen? I'm a loser.
Right, at
XYZ,
the core, it's fear, and then it spirals out of case.
But thought too.
So now here's an interesting thing. I don't know if you remember there's a physics terminology. I forget what they call it, but it's things
Whatever objects stay in motion.
Things in motion tend to stay in motion. Things at rest tend to stay at rest. If you're not, so what I used to do when I was in like high school, I would go to like a school dance, and I would see a girl that I wanted to ask to dance. I would walk as soon as I saw her, and that opportunity was presented to me. I would walk over and say, "I'd love to. You want to go dance?" And she would say yes. And then I would go, "Wait a minute, let me go put my coat down." Because I would still have my coat, I'd still be brushing snow off me. But I didn't want to let the fear paralyze me. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And so the way that I gerrymandered myself out of that fear was by taking the opportunity immediately. And then what I found more over than not is, because I was so decisive immediately, that it read as confidence. But I was really just trying to fight my own fears. You understand?
Mm.
So when you talk about like having a roster and this, Yes, yeah, all of that is true. You get your confidence from knowing that it's sort of like knowing that you can, like, if you box, it's knowing that you can get a punch in the, you got a good chin that you can hit and you won't go down, that you can get
Mhm.
hit and still maintain composure. And so there's so many steps before that, if that makes sense,
Yo,
and
sometimes it's just getting into the ring too. You
yeah,
got into the
absolutely.
ring. Most people do not get into the ring,
The
even if you're
first
gonna get hit. You know,
the
you got
first
into it.
time you spar, that is, you are terrified, right? And it's
Hmm.
not until you take shots and you go, oh, this ain't that bad, that
Oh yeah, the whole time you're taking shots by your trainer,
yeah,
then
yeah.
you decide, all right, I'm gonna. You see an opening, and you hit it, and then you hit him,
You
and
got it,
then
but
you'll
you
remember
can't.
that
But
hit
even
for the
that,
rest
you
of your
jump.
life.
I mean, I can tell you box, but you're even jumping too far ahead. You can't
Mm.
even. Imagine that first time that you spar, you are so paralyzed with fear, you're not even thinking about opening. Even I don't care how much you've
Yeah.
trained, you're so paralyzed
Uh-huh.
you can't even practice technique. And so, and I'm not saying that, look, I understand the pickup artists and the neurolinguistics program and all of that stuff and the game and all of that crap, but the bottom line is real game is no game. You have to actually
And you.
you have to be the guy that you're saying that you are. And then once you say, because how does a woman know who you are? You tell her through that
Yeah.
through that short interaction. Your everything that you do tells her who you are, and women are superb at reading those signals. Understand this.
Hmm.
If you're attractive, if you're super attractive, if you have power, all of those things, women still see when these guys are dirtbags. Understand what they're doing though. They're overlooking the red flags when the guy's a dirtbag because she thinks he's cute. She's ultimately hoping that he's not what she perceives it to do, and that's part of it too. So
Hmm.
so
Yeah, I
I
hear
I,
that.
I get what you're saying about the roster, but I mean, you got to start
Right.
from day one. You know what I mean?
When it all comes down to
Yeah. What you're talking
women
about
do
is
have the
what you're
option.
talking about
Yeah.
as a boxer. Yeah, I need to pick certain tune-up fights to get ready for the championship. And what I'm talking about, you don't even know your footwork yet. You don't even know how to
Mm,
pivot on the right foot yet. And
I
so,
hear
yeah,
that.
the roster is part of it. But if you don't know how
Right.
to throw a basic jab, you get out of here. You got to learn that first.
And yeah, I hear that. And kind of referring to making yourself be known, I guess, getting rid of that fear. For the most part, if you're on a subway, 90% of in New York or wherever, walking down the street, Fifth Avenue, wherever, it's like you don't notice 99% of people, or let alone remember them. But if somebody goes up to you, or you go up to somebody, and then present yourself, lay a five brick, you're almost giving yourself color. You're becoming known
Well, understand. Wait,
to
let
waves
me
of
say this
hundreds and hundreds of people.
again, Dow. Let me say this. Yes, all of that is true. But what I'm saying is, you haven't even left the house yet. You understand? Like, you have not even gotten
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ring.
Still Doritos dust on
Yeah,
your
you're
t-shirt.
you're
All
in the
right, yeah.
locker room. Most guys are in the locker room putting their cup on. You know. So we
Mm.
we got to deal with first things first, man. Thank you so much for calling in, bro. I appreciate you, bro. Thank
All
you.
right, all right.
All right.
Peace.
Peace. Um. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, and so, like, the process that DanteNero.com. If y'all need a consultation, I put you through the system. The first thing you do is the first step of laying the five bricks is that you go out, you pay a compliment to 5 women a day, right? The compliment has to it has to number one, it has to be honest. Number two, it has to be honest, it has to be non-sexual, and number three, you're not allowed to, at the first phase, you're not even allowed to exchange numbers. You're not asking for an Instagram, you're not asking for, and the reason why is because you have to learn how to communicate non-transactionally. Every guy that talks to every girl is trying to treat her like a dick cozy. He's trying to fuck her. And don't think that she's aware of this. The question is, she's evaluating you. It's a totally different thing when you are observing a woman and her beauty, you're complimenting it in a non-sexual way, and the compliment is honest, then you are speaking to this woman non-transactionally. Why? Because I'm telling you on the first step, you're not allowed to get the number. So it removes the anxiety, because what are you ultimately, what's the anxiety? What's the fear? The fear is ultimately, if I talk to this woman, will she reject me? That's where your fear is. If I get in the ring, will I get punched in the face? Phone lines is up, 347-464-2827. Phone lines is up. Call in. I'm ready. I'm up and I'm ready to rock and roll now. I'm on my ish now. So, but you have to understand something. There comes with so much of this, the shame of not being able to do this. We got a call. Let's go. Caller, where you calling from? What's your name? Caller, where you calling from? What's your name?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's going on? What's your name, bro?
Hey, what's up? It's Kevin. I'm calling from Florida.
What's going on, Kev? How can I help you, bro?
What's up, man? Quick question. So, I kind of been like reflecting like on last year, like my whole life, kind of. I'm getting to the realization, although it's like something you've been like talking about as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm realizing that like everything in my life that's happened, like the things that happen, people I've been around, the people I keep attracting, it's like my fault, and like it's my beliefs that kind of like led me into the situation. If that makes sense.
What do you mean
So
specifically? Like what kind of people? What kind of attraction? Thank you, brother.
hmm yeah. So for example, like hood people, for example, like ever since like middle school, I've been like attracting like hood people, and I kind of get to the point where I invest a lot into them,
Mm-hmm.
even though it might be like bad for me.
You
If that
said,
makes
did you
sense.
say hood people?
Yeah, like hood,
Like
like
hood. Okay.
uh,
All right. All right.
yeah.
All right. Fair enough. But why is? Let me ask you something. Did you grow up with your dad?
Yeah, I grew up with both parents.
Okay.
But it was like a toxic kind of thing.
Is your mom kind of ghetto?
No, she's just mad ignorant.
She's what?
She's mad ignorant.
Well, that would be ghetto, right? That would be the definition of ghetto. Yes, yes.
No, no, fair enough, fair enough.
So what I'm saying, but you got to, here's something that you got to think about. You're Picture yourself as a little boy, right? And you got both your parents, and I mean some people don't even have both their parents, but say you got both your parents. The mother that raises you is your first representation of womanhood, right?
Okay.
Your father or whatever masculine figure is in your house, in your home, or outside of your home, whoever that masculine figure is, that is your representation of what masculinity is and what it means to be a man, right? So you got to understand now. You go through life and you go, this. My mom's ignorant, right? Which is hood, right? And this is what I perceive womanhood at. So can you see how when you go out in these streets and you're looking for a mate to build with, you could see how you would what your norm is, what you're comfortable with, right? Is
Oh,
somebody who's ignorant, right?
that's true.
And
Okay,
so
okay,
the
okay, okay.
pattern happens over and over again, right? And I've seen this in so many ways. Like if you get a guy, I was counseling this famous comic, and he's very like soft spoken, and I talk about this all the time. But his father was like, like really overbearing and always angry and always yelling. And when he talks, he's like, hey, hi, how you guys doing? All right, good to see. Oh, it's good to see you. All right, Happy New Year, right? But it's because when he was a kid, he never had an opportunity to be heard, right? And even when he did speak up or he requested to somebody's attention, he didn't really want it because he was afraid that if he got the attention, that he would get screamed at or yelled at or something. And so this becomes the pattern of who you become as a man. You understand? So
Right.
you're dating your mom. Deep down, you're dating your mom. So absolutely, yes, it is your fault in the when we look at it in perspective. But you got to understand, what else do you know? What is most comfortable to you is a woman who's ignorant. That's womanhood to you. You understand? Not only that, but if you get somebody who is classy and demure, you will that could be perceived as even more painful than somebody who's abusive or ignorant or loud or whatever, because it is not what you're comfortable with. See, ignorant feels like home to you. You get a hood chick that's cussing you out, you're like, ooh, just like mom used to make. You know what I mean? Like mom's apple pie, right? And so we got to see these patterns that these patterns that our life and our childhood has created, right? Because most of the time, parents don't know what the hell they're doing. They haven't done the this whole idea of introspection and fulfillment of happiness. This is a new concept. If you think about 10 years ago, people were spanking their kids. Now, think about how absurd this is. I'm going to beat my kids to make sure that they're not violent. I'm going to beat the crap out of my kids to make sure that they know it's not good to be violent. Do you understand how that, logically, that sounds absurd?
So, that makes a lot of sense. I guess what I'm wondering is, how do I know, or how do I take the first steps to get out of my comfort zone to avoid those patterns? Because like you said,
well, you're asking me this question and you already know the answer, and I'm gonna tell you why. You know when you're comfortable, right? You also are very aware when you are uncomfortable, right? So when you meet a nice, classy, demure woman who's about your happiness, and what you're actually doing is you're going, this is cool, and then it seeps in. Wait a minute, this don't feel right. There's something. There's a friend of mine actually I won't say a friend, but I mean God rest his dead. But Patrice O'Neill had this fish tank, right? 400 gallon fish tank, and he had these fish called African cichlids. African cichlids are more aggressive than piranhas. The difference is they don't feed in schools, right? But they're very pretty freshwater fish, but they're not really fresh. They're what you call brackish fish, right? It's a fish that has the water is part salt, part fresh water. But you also, before you buy these fish, you have to cultivate. You have to take a week and cultivate a bacteria in the water, because the fish come from a pond, a lake in Tanzania, and all the neighboring tribes, they drink out of that water, they shit in it, they wash clothes, and so there's a high pH level, high toxicity. So when you bring these fish in a fish tank, you have to cultivate the bacteria in the fish. Guess what happens if you don't cultivate that bacteria? The fish die.
Right, so they die. Right.
If you put those fish in clean water, they will die. They will not survive. I remember my boy Patrice got cheap, and he didn't want to pay. He had this Asian dude who was taking care of his fish tank, and he didn't want to pay to do. He figured he'd do it himself. And I went over to his house, and all of the fish would stop swimming. They were just standing still. I never seen a whole fish tank just standing still, because they were in an environment that that wasn't natural for them. You understand? So You have to understand that the how do you get out of it? First of all, when I said what I said, I could hear in your voice like, holy shit, right? When I said that you're dating your mom, right? So that's the first step. The first step is the recognition of the fact that inside in our head we got this stinking thinking, right? The second thing we have to say is, okay, how do we change that? How do we change that thinking? How do we change the way we think, right? And understand something. You also have to have the ability to forgive yourself. If you have never paid something like polo, right? And you get on the horse and you ain't no good at it, and I cuss you out because you ain't good at it, right? You think that's fair?
Right, would not be.
It's not fair. It's you haven't had training, you haven't had practice. But here's what happens. Because the assumption is that as a man, you should understand relationships, you should understand sex, you should understand all the social dynamics of things, and you don't. You've never been trained. So you got to understand you're going to screw up, right? You also have to forgive your parents because of the fact that they don't have the emotional acuity, or they sometimes don't have the intellectual acuity, right? Because they couldn't. And then you got to teach yourself. But you got to and trust me, you're going to fuck it up. You will make mistakes. Even when you get on the track, but I always use the analogy. It's like, you ever see a little baby trying to walk, right? And the baby hasn't taken his first step. When the baby's sitting down, the baby's not walking, right? If the baby's holding onto the couch, the baby's not walking, right? If the baby's crawling, the baby's not walking. The baby is not walking until it stands up, right? Balances itself, lets go the couch and takes a step, right? When it takes that first step, a lot of times it'll take 1 step, 2 steps, and usually hit the ground, right?
Right.
But it's not walking until it lets go and it takes that leap of faith, right? So a lot of times what I'll hear adults say, yeah, I'm working on it. I'm trying to no, you're not. The only way you work on it is you got to let go of the couch and take that first step. And trust me, you're going to suck at it. That is the process. The process is that you're going to suck at it, but you know through repetition and through practice and through guidance, you will get better. And knowing that's the greatest thing about humanity, is that you go through this process and you can be better. First of the year, I'm teaching myself how to play drums, right? Never played drums. I suck at it. We lost him? It's fine. Phone lines, put the phone line up. I'm gonna keep talking. I'm gonna wrap this up in a nice bow. I suck at the drums. I got a nice set of drums, but I suck. And I'm trying to learn how to have the independence of the left hand doing one count and the right hand doing another count and my feet doing a different count. But I suck. It's okay though, because I'm committed to the process of growth. I'm committed to the work that needs to happen in order for me to have that kind of independence, to have that independence to get good. And I'm okay with sucking as long as I have to suck in order to be good. And so this change in the way the women that you choose, the relationships you choose, how you respond to toxic situations is we got a call. Is how you respond to those things. You're gonna suck at it, but you can get better. He hung up. Tell him to call back. He called back. The phone line's open. 347-464-2827. Dom, next time he does it, just answer it, and then I'll pick him up as he goes. 347-464-2827. So you have to understand that you're going to suck at it. And in any situation, when you're talking about, it's like the first caller was talking about, well, you got to have a resource. Let's go. You got to have a stable.
Hello.
What's up? Who am I talking to? How can I help you, brother?
Hey, Dante, it's Anthony from Melbourne, Australia.
What's going on, Ann? How have you been, man? What's going on?
Hey, it's been the best year ever for me, ever. And we're only just 2 weeks, 3 weeks into it now.
Okay, stop.
It's
Stop.
phenomenal,
Stop.
man.
Stop. Stop.
Yes.
Stop. Stop. Let me just explain who Anthony is. Anthony is one of my clients from Melbourne, Australia. Right? Now, no disrespect to Anthony. But Anthony got a rock head. Anthony is a hard. He got a rock head. He don't listen.
Yep.
And
It's a gift and a curse.
yeah, it is a gift and a curse. So, and you know, there's something I'm going to talk to you about because it's going to be helpful that I just came into mind.
Okay.
The situation is, so I tell Anthony to do something. Anthony does partially of what I tell him to do, and then he does something else, right? And then Anthony gets a consultation with me. I yell at Anthony, right? I tell him how he's fucking up, right? And then he goes back to the drawing board. And what I respect about you most, Anthony, is that you go back to the drawing board, right? So, so now I want you to tell me, why is this the best year so far? Tell me what's going on.
All right. So, look, I jumped in with the consultations with you a lot heavier at the end of last year.
Yeah.
Straight away, basically within a month of that, things started looking up for me in every regards, financially.
So let me just say this too: we were talking about laying the 5 bricks and you becoming more social, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And how did that affect you initially when I put you on the plan?
It's revolutionary. Okay, to say the least. It's so basic.
Yeah.
There's a lot of detail that's very easily overlooked with this, but that's where the magic is at.
Yeah.
So, full blown honesty, I'm still on the first phase.
It's fine.
Yes, and I'm happy with what's happening, what's coming through. I'm learning so much through.
And how old are you, Anthony? How old are you?
35.
Okay, so you're 35. So what I'm saying, you've been sucking at this for most of your adult life, right? And
I've been bullshitting my way through life.
Exactly. And here's the thing, and there's so much progress, guys. What's crazy about it is I've been doing this so long, I can literally hear the confidence in your voice. I can hear the joy and the confidence where when I first spoke to you, I don't know, and and this is this, and and then you'd go right up to, you'd get to the point where you were like, I was talking about the little baby walking, you'd hold onto the couch, and then you would just sit down. You wouldn't take that first step. And it's okay. I want you to understand it's okay that you're still on the first step. You don't have to be. We could have moved a lot quicker, but it's the fear that kept you not doing, because here's what's crazy, Anthony. You didn't do what I said because you didn't really want to win. Deep down, you didn't think that you deserved it. So you sabotaged every guidance that I get. Every time I tried to push you to the light, you did everything you could do to not go there.
Yes.
And I could feel that.
Yep.
But what's great is now I think you're starting to get it. And don't get me wrong, you're going to go back to the same old bullshit, and I'm going to yell at you again. But it don't matter.
And this is exactly why I'm still on the first phase. It's I can see it all coming through, and kind of which I guess the decisions I made in the past, which led to my tendencies. Yeah. And I just got to work through it full stop. Yeah. And it's just practice. It's just practice. Now, when we talk about the nuance, whether you can be whether you can win the World Cup, that's a whole different thing. But the point is, what we're talking about is the social dynamics of dating, relationships, sex. It is a skill set. And how often you didn't have anybody to teach you? And that's where I came in. And I've broken the process up into small increments where you don't even feel the growth. I'm definitely feeling the growth. Right. Definitely feeling it. Like one thing. It's almost for me. It's hard to not be overwhelmed with it all. Okay, so it's just
But
take it day
I'm
by
gonna tell
day
you
and just keep
something.
going at
What
it.
happens is you are not overwhelmed by the task that I'm asking you to do. You are overwhelmed because your expectation is higher than it should be. If you
Yeah.
just do what I tell you to do, if you just pay 5 compliments a day, just pay the compliments and move on, right? The compliments.
Yeah.
The reason why. So understand this, and I don't want anybody that's listening to be offended by this. 99% of everybody who I consult with are liars, right? And I don't mean when I
Yeah.
say liars, people get offended by that because what they think I
Can I
mean.
jump in on that for 1 second?
Yes, yeah, sure.
I catch myself lying to myself on a daily basis.
Right. So it's not just being truthful to being righteous and honorable to a woman or to your job or to your family members or any relationship, but it's also being honest with yourself. It's also being honest when being honest when what you say might create a situation where you may end up in a confrontation. We're not talking about a physical confrontation, but what nice guys want to do all the time, they don't want to make no waves, and they're not willing to be honest and truthful enough to make waves.
And the thing with that, it goes against the fact that what we do, it has to be non-transactional.
Right.
It's consistently setting something up in the future. And with that, it just basically the anxiety just builds upon itself.
And it does. And what happens is through phase after phase, it's sort of like video games. That first level is easy. The second level is a little hard, and then before you know it, you're playing Madden with audibles and and all kinds. You know what I mean? It just your skill set gets more sophisticated. But you gotta learn the basics first, and you gotta understand them, and you gotta submit to the process. The other thing is, we all have parents who did not prepare us how to be men, how to operate in social situations, and vice versa. And so, what are we left to do? We're left to look at the parents that we have and just mimic whatever they're doing. Which, let's be honest. How many of our parents have actually done the work to have their self together, to really where their actions and their decisions are intentional? Just doesn't happen. Every time I do a consultation, DanteNero.com, click on consult if you need one. Also, don't forget y'all can follow the Patreon at patreon.com/manschool202. Send me some money. The point is that the other thing is men lie because they don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. They lie because they don't want to end up in a confrontation. And they may not see those as big lies, but I've said this 100 times. If you are 95% trustworthy, that is the definition of a liar. And the minute somebody that you're with, and I mean this is anybody, family member, friends, girlfriend, wife, the minute you lose your credibility, you can't regain that. It is the thing that you have to protect by all means, and the only way that you can do that is be honest and maintain credibility. And the empathy is important because you understand. You have to. I mean, so if somebody says, "Do I look fat in this dress?" You don't go, "You look like a fat bitch." You don't want to do that, but you can say, "I don't think that looks appropriate." If somebody's asking you, and so, but because if I can't trust what you say, even if it means hurting my feelings, then if you tell your girl you love her, if you tell her you got her back, how does she believe you if you have no credibility? You literally put yourself in a situation where she can't even believe what you're saying. And I can't tell you how many guys I've said, how many friends do you have that are trustworthy? are righteous, keep their word, and have empathy. It's such a rare. Those three qualities are such a rare set of.
Yeah.
It's such a rare trio. If you
So
and wisdom is the understanding of underlying concepts, how they relate to situations that seem irrelevant. We can apply this
yeah,
to just supply and demand. If all men lie, and you're a guy who don't lie, you become a commodity. You understand?
yeah. Yeah. So what I'm doing and the work you've put me through, I'm lifting up everyone around me as well. I'm understanding who's worth my time. I'm understanding which situations are worth my time, and it's just a process I got to go through, and I'm helping everyone around me. But yeah, I just want to say I love you, man.
I love you
Thanks
too,
so much.
bro.
Keep doing what you're doing, and I'll catch you around soon enough. Yeah, we'll chat soon.
Yeah, I appreciate you, bro. Love you,
Yep.
man. And
Okay.
keep
Love you.
keep doing your thing, bro. Okay?
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. Catch you around.
Yeah. See, that's uh dirty dumb. That's what it's all about. When I get those calls, that puts the gas, that fills my tank up. I can go, I can be broke. Send me some money. I can 347-464-2827. It's I love hearing that, man. And I mean, anybody that listens to the content, guys will call up all the time and say, this is that. People know Pete Davidson. I was the one that Pete Davidson lost his dad in 9/11, and Pete Davidson used to call me his dad. When Pete Davidson was 17 years old and he was a virgin, I was the guy who walked him through it. I mean, he went a little crazy, smashed everything in Hollywood. But one of the reasons why he was able to, why he attracted these women is because he's genuinely a good guy. He's an honest and forthright dude. And, he don't really take my calls now, but that's a whole nother thing. We're moving right along. But yeah, it's a skill set. It's a skill set. And, like I often say, my dad was born 1920. I've said this before. My dad was born 1920. He had 16 brothers and sisters. He was the youngest boy of 16 kids. He grew up during Jim Crow in the Depression, right? So, and my dad, this is crazy. My dad had rickets. If you don't know what rickets is, it's a lack of calcium where your bones are soft. And he had like braces on his legs and shit like that because they were that poor. So what I'm at, for me to ask my dad to be self-aware of a situation where he could had the emotional acuity to be the dad that I needed him to be, it just wasn't in the cards. But I had to learn to forgive him because he just didn't have that, he didn't have that bandwidth, right? And you got to fix yourself. I usually give a guy up to like 26 for doing the fuckboy shit, and then after 26, man, it's the bottom line. And don't get me wrong, I don't care what kind of trauma, molestation, whatever, essays, whatever. I'm not saying that I'm cold or I don't have the empathy for that. But what you have to understand is what you do with your life, like every day, every hour, you are transferring that hour of life for what you did in that day. And if you don't make the best of that, it's your loss. So I've even done grief therapy with guys. Somebody passed away, their mother passed away, they can't get past it. And the bottom line is, man, look, I mean, this is gonna sound cold, but it needs to be said. People who are dead, they dead. Cameron voice. People die every day. Cameron voice. But if you allow, I'm not saying you can't grieve and you shouldn't feel for people, but understand that your life is happening. Right now, your life is happening. Just look at your watch. Look at your phone. Minutes are clicking off, and you're wasting that. You're wasting that. Moments where you could fulfill your life and grow and explore and learn new things and affect people and grow yourself and have relationships and raise awesome children and teach them the things that you didn't get to. I mean, it's an amazing perspective to think that I always say the two things that are the scariest and the greatest thing that I've ever learned in my life is that you are limitless to what you want to achieve. That's the greatest thing I ever learned. The scariest thing is this. No matter what, whatever you don't have, whatever you have not achieved is your fault. You were not able to make those. You were not capable, or didn't have the fortitude to make the sacrifices to get what you want. So, as much as the openness and the airiness of understanding that the sky's the limit, the responsibility and the accountability of not having what you want because you didn't apply yourself is your fault. So, I always say when you're laying in the bed and the shadow from the ceiling fan is whipping past your face and it's just you know if you ain't shit. And then you meet some chick who you really like, or there's a moment where you'll have this kind of connection, and then you sabotage it because you shoplifting the pussy. You in the Bentley store with 2 racks. You know you can't buy a Bentley with 2 racks. You don't have enough money. What are you doing? So what do? Can I sit in this? How much is? What color is? This is how you act because you're in the Bentley store and you ain't got enough money. When you got money to buy, you walk in. Listen, I want this one and I want it in a money green. Well, we don't make it in a money green. Well, make it in a money green. Get me one. Because we have that. What happens is we have that. You have the confidence because you don't feel as though you're stealing. But when you don't have the self-esteem and you haven't done the work to say that you are an authentic, credible, empathetic man, you're always worried about when somebody's going to pull the mask off. Every day you got to put makeup on. To fake it till you make it. And most guys, they're not even trying to make it. They just faking it, hoping for the best. Lying and cheating and this, and it's crazy. And trust me, what don't come out in the wash comes out in the rinse. You can't hide. There's an old song, I forget who it's by, but it's "You can't hide from yourself. Everywhere you go, there you are." So, and nobody knows that. These are things that you're going to know about yourself, but it will eat at you every day because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not so cold that I don't understand that it's a process and it's a struggle and life is a struggle, but it's a beautiful struggle. Humanity is a beautiful struggle. Anything worth something is worth a just sacrifice. And when you make those sacrifices, you feel accomplished because you've accomplished it. 347-464-2827. I think I'm going to take one more call. We'll take one more call, and then we get out of here, Dom, because I know you got to set up and whatever. 347-464. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share the stuff. You know my content. You got a friend that's going through something. Man, send them this. Send them this. Send them the clips. Send them the shorts. Get them, help them out, man, because there's nothing like that, man. It's hard. What becomes is as you become a better man, if you become a better representation, if you become a better woman, what happens is you get lonely. And the reason why you get lonely because you can't tolerate the fuck shit that you used to deal with. People not moving, people not shaking, people not growing, people not educating themselves, people not working on themselves to be their best version of themselves, and you just can't tolerate it anymore. 347-464-2827. Phone number's up. Cash App is up. Send me some money. Like, share, subscribe. Don't forget, DanteNero.com. Click on consult. If y'all need a consultation, you know how to get me. Also, we're on all platforms, Instagram, Real Man School, YouTube, TikTok, everything. All my content is up there. Let me see real quick. Yeah. 347-464. If we're not gonna get a call, I think I'm gonna shut it down. It's like 10 o'clock. Let me just say, Dom, thanks for sitting in, man. I appreciate you, bro. Thanks for sitting in.
Thank you. We have one caller if you would like.
All
to
right,
take
let's
him.
do it. Let's do this last one. What's your name? Where you calling from, fam?
Yo, what's up? It's Roger from Los Angeles.
What's up, Roger? How you doing? How can I help you, bro?
Hey, what do you mean by knowing yourself, doing the work?
What do I mean by that?
Yeah, what is that?
Okay, so
Doing
Let
the work.
let me ask you this: what if you had to perceive something about yourself that you're not happy with? What would that be?
Mm. I guess they could more money came to mind. You know?
More money. Okay, more money. That's fine. Like, would you mean like a better job, or just more money?
Yeah, I mean like more in the bag. You know, maybe a bigger house, something like that. You know?
Okay, but now do you have
More
the
freedom,
money?
financial freedom.
Do you have the money available to you, and you just don't have the ability to save, or you don't have the discretionary income and don't have the willpower to save, or you need to earn more money that you would have to put away?
Yeah, man, I got a good job and just need
To be disciplined.
I guess, save, discipline, invest. Yeah.
Okay, so here's my point. Every time that you buy frivolous stuff, every time you on Amazon, every time you buy something, every time you spend money instead of putting that money away, right? Deep down, you know you haven't done the work, right? And when you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth. I'm not saying that this is the only thought, but if you're stating to me that you would like your savings or your investments or you would like to buy a house and you're not, and you're saying you want to do that, right? And you're not doing it, right? I ain't got no dog in the fight. If you don't ever get a house, I'm gonna be okay. But if you want this, right? And you're not making the effort to do it. If you got a great job and you got the income, you have the tools. You're just not being disciplined enough. So that means you have to have the discipline to say no and say, I'm not going to spend frivolous money on things and I'm going to put it away so that I can ultimately achieve that goal. Now, once you here's an interesting thing too. Like I want to talk about the Uber. You got to have a destination. If you have a destination, right? Just like if you're riding an Uber and all of a sudden you get off track, right? You make frivolous purchases, or maybe you go into the bar, spending too much money in the bar, whatever it is, right? Your body knows that you're full of shit. You can't lie to yourself. You know that you are not working towards the thing that you want to work towards. And so there's a depression that comes in because of the fact, a lack of respect for yourself because you have set this goal and you're not doing the things that you're supposed to do. Make sense?
So, did you say that you have done the work and know yourself?
I mean, I'm constantly in the process of it. I'm constantly trying to be better. I mean, part of doing this show is me. What you have to understand is as much as there's lots of things that I've done and been through my life and I've done. Even doing this show helps me keep on track. Helps me because how am I going to tell you that you need to do this and I'm not doing it myself? You feel me? Because when all said and done, if I'm not doing what I need to do, right, I'm lying to myself. And nobody has to know that, but I know. Like I say, I always use the analogy when you're laying on the bed and the shadow from the ceiling fan is whipping off across your face. You know if you ain't shit. There's no denying it. Nobody else has to know. And that eats away at you, eats away at your self-esteem, eats away at your happiness, eats away at your peace because you've set goals and you're not doing what you need to do. Make sense?
Sure does, man.
All right, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling, man. Please call back, listen in, and we'll be back We'll be racking. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be live on Thursday, but we'll see. Because I might be doing something else. But if not, I will definitely be live on Sunday. GYBB, get your balls back. WWDD, what would Dante do? Sexual Revolutions being podcasted. Don't forget to like and subscribe on the Patreon. That helps us to continue to put the content out. Don't forget the consultation is DanteNero.com. Click on consult. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Peace, y'all. I love y'all, man. We out of here. Peace.